for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Dr. Feig?
Here.
Mr. Frund?
Here.
Mrs. Geyer?
Here.
Mr. Lizza?
Here.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Here.
Mr. Polakowski?
Here.
Mr. Shipley?
Here.
Mrs. Smith?
Here.
Mrs. Williams?
Here. Sorry, Mr. Smithola. I kind of just did my thing without asking.
I also need to ask Caleb Tax,
Here.
Lily Wasman.
Here. Are there any citizens' comments?
Not on the agenda.
Okay. And I just wanted to mention that we were in executive session prior to this for some personnel and legal matters.
Okay. Meeting minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve meeting minutes from the October 13th, 2022 discussion meeting and the October 20th, 2022 voting meeting. I need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Superintendent information.
Okay, I have no new information this week.
Solicitor information.
I have no information to report at the public meeting this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Business manager, transportation director information. You're going to bust our bubble, aren't you?
No, actually, I'm going to give you a little bit of good news.
Okay.
I am working on the AFR. I got the figures today from the auditors, and our unassigned fund balance went up by $81,836. So the new total unassigned is $3,062,779. That is, however, there was one purchase order that wasn't fulfilled in the 21-22 year, and that's because the punch list has not been completed yet for the paving. So that was an additional about $33,000. But like I said, overall, that is good news, especially with some of the projects that we were able to do last year with the paving and with the track project, those type of things. So I was, very happy with that.
Thank you. That's all you have?
That's all I have.
CWCTC report.
Sure, I had a meeting last week. They are currently, obviously they started off their school year. The cosmetology program is open to the public for appointments on Fridays. So if anyone wants to have, I think there's hair, manicures, pedicures, a couple different things. That's Fridays. You just have to call the school and set up an appointment. The construction trades, the electrical technology, the welding and metal fabrication and restoration students all collaborated together to design and build a new mobile ticket booth for Overly's Country Christmas. So they've been working on that. They also were here at the school. They did some work at the softball field. So they came here and did that work. They are currently getting ready for Skills USA. The organization dinner that the board members are invited to is December 8th. So if you can make it to that dinner, all board members are invited. You can just email the email that was sent to you. You can email back and say that you can attend.
Thank you. WIU report.
Our regular meeting was held, and the first item of business was to review the performance goals for Dr. Conway. He has 4 of them. The first one is to develop an organizational business plan to guide entrepreneurial efforts into the future. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. It was a very serious issue. He's going to continue the work of the 2030 Special Education Commission that plans for the operation of special education services in Westmoreland County. Another goal is to provide leadership, learning opportunities for the administrative team to improve their connectedness through the team and the organization itself. And he's continuing to work on developing the administration regulations manual It's an ongoing activity, and that is basically a manual that talks about how things get done in order to carry out policies. They continue to advertise just like we do for custodial positions. They have revised their approach for curriculum services. They're using a team approach now. And what it does is instead of one individual being responsible, it's spread out over. And they will provide curriculum support services, a curriculum support services specialist upon request. Professional negotiations continue. They have a continued shortage of support personnel. Very much like the rest of us, they hired an organization called Maxim, M-A-X-I-M, and they were paying $34 an hour to get personnel, and it was not satisfactory. And they continue to try to see what they can do. I think they said they're short 28 employees right now. They talked about the impact grants, and again recommended that we notify our teachers that any teacher can apply for one of these grants. All they need to do is check the website for information. I spoke a little bit earlier about the entrepreneurial approach that is a concern. And there was a workshop, and there is a feeling that in many districts, the present means of financial operations is going to become unsustainable. Districts are not being proactive, they're reactive, and the district should start looking at partnerships with other districts to save money. So the question is, you ask, what does our school district do to generate revenue? Now, as far as I know, the only revenue we get, other than what we get from the government, is taxes. But there are districts who are working on programs that will give them the ability to proactively raise money instead of just simply relying on the taxation and the state government. There is a meeting in December. It's a reorganization meeting, and I believe you got the information in your packet.
Thank you. PSBA liaison report.
PDE is finalizing 3 new sets of competencies required for teacher induction in continuing professional development programs as required under the newly revised Chapter 49 regulations concerning educator certification that became effective April 23, 2022. PDE has already published the competencies on structured literacy and professional ethics. The final set of competencies for culturally relevant and sustaining education will be published this week. All 3 sets of the competencies will be available on PDE's website.
I think that last one came out today because I got it. I received it.
Excellent.
Can I ask you a question, Dwayne?
Sure.
Are these competencies coming from the Department of Education or PSBA?
PDE.
They're coming from the Department of Education?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. PSBA legislative report.
We had a meeting this month at 7:30 last Thursday. We had a Zoom meeting. I mean, we were in person, but we Zoomed with Acting Secretary Eric Haggerty and the Acting Deputy Secretary, Dr. Jeff Fuller. They gave us a briefing about what's going on, spoke a little bit about what Dwayne talked about. They did a question and answer period. They gave us just some updates that were going on. This year, they're organizing the meetings so that everyone picks a specific legislator that they are going to be focused on. So obviously, I sat at the table that was Representative DeVanzo, because that's who is in our area. So we had a little bit of a training on advocacy, what to do, how to approach someone, getting to know their staff is super important. So we made some plans. I think it was Dr. Boone and I and a couple of other districts, I think York and Bell Vernon.
Oh, Bell Vernon, yes.
Who will be working on that little subcommittee there and reaching out to the representatives. And that is one thing also that we were told we need to do, because we can't sustain income. We need to start showing what we need to the representatives.
It's unsustainable.
Yeah, because we need to show them everything that we're doing, and they have the opinion that we just received millions of dollars in ESSER's money, so what could we possibly need? Not really understanding that the ESSER's money was conditional and had certain things it could be used for. Also talking to them about the cliff that a lot of people are going to fall off of pretty soon because they use that money for salaries and things that aren't sustainable. So our next meeting is December 8th at 7:30 a.m.
7:30 a.m.
Committee reports,
Gosh, that.
buildings, grounds, and safety.
Well, it can be.
Mr. Polakowski.
Greensburg.
We haven't had a meeting since, I don't know when.
The roof recommendations.
Yeah, the recommendations of the roof project. So we need to schedule one for next year, beginning of the year, so we can get updated.
Finance, district operations, and transportation. That's me. We've been discussing with Mrs. Mondock getting the budget together, starting those discussions. I know she's been working on ESSER's money and getting us some where we're actually standing with the ESSER's money.
I'm also working on the budget as well.
Yes. So she's been pretty busy. So we should be scheduling a budget meeting shortly. Personnel policy and academics, Mrs. Smith.
Yep, we met last month, which I think I already reported on. We are meeting again tomorrow morning, and we will be discussing 707, that's what I meant. Policy 707, which there are going to be changes to, and we'll report at the next meeting.
Thank you. Non-academic, athletic, extracurricular. Mr. Shipley.
Yes, we met last week. Fall sports have wrapped up. Mr. Boring finished the coaching evaluations. Facilities update, the media room in the high school gym is close to complete. CWCTC's working on that. Bleachers in the high school gym, there's still issues with, so Mr. Boring is getting some quotes for that. 707 policy, looked at tweaking some of that as far as security and custodians at those events. Winter sports starts tomorrow officially from the WPIAL, and Mr. Harris provided a marching band update or report. The Southmoreland Marching Band attended 5 Pennsylvania Interscholastic Marching Band Association shows, along with all Southmoreland football games. The marching band performed at the Kennywood Fall Fantasy Parade, the Scottsdale Fall Festival Parade, the Scottsdale Halloween Parade, and the Scottsdale Veterans Day Ceremony, and a couple parades coming up. They're going to perform at the Everson Christmas Parade, November 25th, and the Scottsdale Christmas Parade and Light Up Night, December 3rd.
Thank you. Student reports.
Well, first I'd like to congratulate October's Scotty Scholar, Caleb Tax, and also congratulate October's Spirit of Southmoreland student, Henry Miller. Mrs. Yitzi's 9th grade integrated science classes have partnered with Jacobs Creek Watershed Association. These classes participate monthly with JCWA to conduct water quality of local waterways. The high school English department will be sponsoring Poetry Out Loud, which is a poetic performance-based competition where the students will memorize and perform their favorite poems in school-wide, regional, and national competitions. They have the opportunity to advance in order to compete for cash prizes. The competition is free to enter and is sponsored by the National Endowments for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation.
This year's Student Council will once again be hosting our Bump It Up competition, a school-wide volleyball elimination competition, and the Southmoreland Snow Court, both of which will take place on the last day before winter recess on December 22nd. Both events will raise money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation to provide wishes for terminally ill children in the local regions. Sign-ups will begin following Thanksgiving vacation, and the Snow Court will be announced prior to Thanksgiving break. On October 28th, our Alpha students traveled to Morgantown, West Virginia to participate in the annual pumpkin drop. Students designed and built devices to protect a pumpkin during a 10-story drop from the WVU engineering building. High school students dropped 2 devices, middle school students dropped 1, and elementary students dropped 1 device. All of the pumpkins reached the ground, but only the elementary student's device did so with a pumpkin that was in one piece. Tomorrow, Alpha students will be participating in the Great Debate at Penn Trafford High School, where they will compete in a formal debate on various topics. On Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Mr. Cavalier has been encouraging students to stay after school in the weight room at the high school to train and get stronger with the Scotty Iron Club. This club is open to all high school students and welcomes all ability levels. The goals of the club are to learn about fitness and strength training while providing a safe environment to do so.
4 concert choral students have been selected to represent Southmoreland in this year's Westmoreland County Music Association's Chorus Festival. This event is to be held at Belle Vernon High School on November 17th and 18th, with guest conductor Marvin Halls. A performance for the public will be on Friday, November 18th at 7 p.m. in the Belle Vernon High School Auditorium. Congratulations to Addie White, Nolan Blaze, Chris Headley, and Logan Clotter. Mrs. Goodman's high school art students have been very busy during the first quarter of this school year, creating amazing art pieces. Thus far, Art 1 students have covered concepts of 2D designs, accurately copying images using a grid, and drawing using vanishing points and perspective. Art 2 students have covered concepts of 2D designs and are now working with the interior perspective as they design an interior space of their choice. Art application students have worked with cardboard sculptures and are currently working with wired sculptures with kinetic mobile theme. Senior studio students have been maintaining an ongoing sketchbook, but have also covered concepts of observational drawing and 2D design. Mrs. Goodman's Art Council group had the opportunity to visit Douglas Education Center in Monessen on November 15th. Mrs. Pushkar also attended the trip with some of her computer science students. During their visit, students were taking on a tour of the school and were able to walk through the filmmaking and special effects makeup building as well as the cosmetology building. Students were able to witness Douglas students at work making molds for the mask and life-size creatures, sculpting busts of clay, and creating realistic eyes and teeth. They also learned about a computer program called ZBrush, and that allows the students to sculpt figures, faces, and creatures visually on a computer screen. Lastly, students met Robert Tinnell, an American writer, film director, and producer. He directed films such as Feast of the Seven Fishes, Frankenstein and Me, Kids of the Round Table, and his producer credits include Black Fork, The Hunted, Surf Nazis Must Die. His graphic novel writing includes Flesh and Blood, The Living and the Dead, The Black Forest, The Wicked West, and Eisner Award nominee Feast of the Seven Fishes. Prior to departing, students were provided with a plethora of information about Douglas Education Center, how to enroll, and the programs of interest. Overall, it was a great tour and experience in order to expose Southmoreland students to a school very close at home that offers a wide range of career opportunities.
October was Manufacturing Awareness Month. To celebrate, the Southmoreland High School Bots IQ team observes how electrical power is produced literally in our backyards at the Tenaska Power Plant in Smithton. Tenaska is a natural gas-powered plant and supplies power to the surrounding area. Dr. Robert Mayfield, plant manager, along with many of his employees, gave a brief story of each of their backgrounds and how they eventually gained employment with Tenaska, many of which do not have a specific college degree in energy or engineering, but rather credentials in management or a specific trade from a VOTech or technical institution. On the actual tour, students were able to see how the entire plant operates from the control room, 100% automated by sensors and switches with minimal human interaction. And they walk through the plant where the turbines generate electricity and transfer it to the electrical grid and the cooling stations. We thank Dr. Mayfield and his staff for the generous hospitality and the opportunity to tour their facility. Yesterday, Ms. Lembo and Mr. Kiefer had the opportunity to take some of our students to Penn State Fayette campus. The students participated in the university's Social Science Day. The focus of the day was learning about the Penn State Fayette campus, as well as the following academic programs: corporate communication, criminal justice, and psychology. This year, we are excited to announce that TFIM is hosting Southmoreland's first annual Turkey Bowl. Turkey bowling is a single elimination tournament similar to the custom Bump It Up Student Council hosts during the winter. Students have the rest of the week to sign up, capping up at 24 teams. The event will be held the last day before fall recess on the 23rd, and it will run all day. The finalists of the competition will be bowling with actual frozen turkeys, and the winners will receive gift cards and their names engraved on the cornucopia trophy. Lastly, Southmoreland is getting ready for the holidays. The senior class is having 2 trees placed in the commons at the high school. Students will be given the opportunity to pay and decorate to place an ornament on the tree. All of the money raised will go directly towards the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Michelle, I had a question about a report that was given. Can you tell me when I can ask it?
Go ahead.
It's for the business manager. Pam, if you could guess at a total amount of money that we've been given for ESSERS, what would it be, the total amount, all of them put together?
You want to hang on one second, I'll check and get you the actual numbers.
Is it like $3 million?
It's over $3 million.
Over $3 million. Using ESSERS money, Pam, how many teachers have we hired using ESSERS money?
The interventionist.
I can't hear you, Pam.
The interventionalists we've hired. We pay for the dean of students. We pay for an assistant principal. We have paid some overtime for custodial members.
What about actual teachers, Pam? Because the dean of students, her job is not to teach.
That is correct. Her
Okay,
job is not
actual classroom teachers, intervention teachers. How many teachers have we hired with ESSERS money?
That are still here?
What?
That are still here and employed as interventionists?
Right now, just right now. What do we have right now?
I'm trying to get to the workbook.
5? There are 5 currently.
5.
5. We were all hired temporarily.
For a period of 2 years.
Yes.
Okay.
The ESSERS 3 grant is a total of $3,067,970. The CARES grant, which is ESSERS 1, is $349,111. And as soon as I can get to ESSERS 3 or ESSERS 2, I'll give you their number. Give me 1 second.
Okay, my question was, how many teachers have we actually hired to teach? 5 with
There are 5
with this ESSERS money, and the principal doesn't teach either. So
no.
Okay, thank you.
There were more. Just to be clear, there were more originally hired, but currently we only have 5 still in those positions because they've resigned and we've not replaced. Okay. Make a motion to, I'm sorry. Read.
Policy.
Make a motion to approve policy item number 1.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Personnel.
Make a motion to approve personnel items 1 through 2. Need a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay, education.
Make a motion to approve education items 1 through 3. Need a second?
Second.
Discussion. Just, can we please mention the flexible instruction days?
Sure, absolutely.
The days are out here now.
As part of the last calendar revision, there was talk about adding possible snow days into the calendar based upon flexible instruction days and an application. I can report that the application was submitted, approved. We are good for this school year. We will need to reapply for another set of flexible instruction days for the following school year, this coming April. So there are no set snow days into the school calendar anymore.
Any other discussion about that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Finance.
This is. Okay, so I would like to pull item number 5 from this so so that we can do a roll call vote on the debt resolution. So I am making a motion to approve finance items 1 through 4. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
I'm going to vote no on number 4.
Quick question, where are you all finding what you're reading?
I'm reading it on the agenda. So
Yes.
what I'm reading is actually number 6, where I say motion to approve finance items 1 through 4. It's under finance H.
There
Okay.
you go. Okay.
Okay, so I can still do all those in favor, and as long as we only have one opposing.
Correct.
Okay, as long as we can make that out.
Yes.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No on number 4.
You got number 4?
Okay, item number 5 is debt resolutions. I'm going to explain that, just, I think we should give a little more.
Yes, sorry, my computer just quit. Actually, Mr. Cliff Pastel is here to answer questions as well. The debt resolution is a wraparound note. It is for a series of 9 years. The total amount of the debt that we are borrowing is $4 million. That will be utilized for such things as the high school roof, the masonry issues that we have to address, some of the other capital projects that the school district has going on. We were able to get the borrowing at a rate of 4.34% from Truist through maturity. And it basically keeps our debt schedule fairly consistent throughout the life of the loan. It will increase this year's debt load by $50,362. And at the end of the life of the loan, the last payment will drop down to $1,540,058. Does anyone have any? Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. Pastel?
Very short. This is the debt resolution as required by the Local Government Unit Debt Act. We have advertised a summary of the resolution in the newspaper. Assuming this is adopted, which requires 5 votes in favor according to the school code, we would then publish the post-adoption notice and then proceed to prepare documents for closing, file with the Department of Community Economic Development, which has to approve every debt or note or bond issue by a local government unit in Pennsylvania, and proceed to close on the 20th, which is when you would receive the money. So you'll need an account to put the money in.
Yes.
20th. The debt issued by a school district is exempt from federal income tax as long as you follow the rules, which is pretty easy. Project.
Can you talk closer into the microphone?
I'm sorry.
I can't hear anything you're saying.
Okay. Well, it's just legal gobbledygook. You don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, the federal income tax rules are fairly straightforward for a school district bond issue, for capital expenditures. There's no difficulty complying with those. And because this is a bank loan, we don't have any federal securities law to be concerned with. So it's primarily the procedure under the Debt Act that has to be followed to issue the debt. So, assuming this is approved, we would then proceed to send out more documents for signatures before the 20th of December, which is when closing would occur. And I would not send them out until after your reorg meeting because I like to know the names to put on the documents. Any questions? I'll answer them. But done this last year and the year before.
I just want to make sure you're clear, like, this is like basically a rollover of debt.
No, this is actually new debt, Mrs. O'Rear. This is new debt that we have to incur so that we can pay for such things as the roofing project, the masonry projects, those types of things.
And then so it does roll everything all into one, correct? Technically, keeps our payment. When you say our payment, it changes our payment.
It changes our payment by, yes. But There are actually more than, there are the loans that we incurred last year as well as this year, but yes, in actuality, without this new debt, the payment would be, for this year, would be $2,011,796. With the new debt, the loan would be, the local effort payment would be $2,062,158 this year, which is an increase of $50,362.
Okay, Now I came again.
But like I said, what the wraparound loan is structured to do is to keep our debt level fairly consistent throughout the life of the loan.
Most of the maturities, payments of principal on this debt are after the other debt paid.
Yes.
That's what's called a wraparound. And that means you can only have a small increase in millage now, but by the time you get to 2028 or so, you'll be paying all debt service on this issue and nothing on the other issue.
On the issue, okay. No, and then our interest rate won't change.
No, this is fixed rate for the life of the debtors.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Ma'am, in what year is this $4 million? When will everything be paid off? Or the present debt-
Everything will be paid off by June 30th of 2031.
2031.
That is correct.
2031.
April 1st.
Yeah, at the fiscal year ending or in April.
Are there any other questions? A roll call.
Dr. Feig?
No.
Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 no.
And I also have on here the Buildings Activity Fund information. It's just for informational purposes, as well as the cyber charter expense analysis, which is also just for information purposes.
Okay. Buildings and grounds.
I make a motion to approve Buildings and Grounds items 1 through 4. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
This Brightly Solutions Management, $4,712. Is that a year?
Yes.
I think it should state per year.
Well, if you click on the attachment, it says subscription term 12 months, so that would imply that it's yearly.
And actually, if you look at the attachment, $1,000 of that cost is for implementation of the software package.
Is there any other discussion?
That Herf Jones with the yearbooks, like, is that's what's covering this year's, or is that old debt?
I'm sorry, what did?
Under middle school student activity accounts.
Oh, sorry, we're back there.
Sorry, my bad.
Well, can we discuss that after?
Okay.
I'll just remember to bring that up at the end and we'll go back.
Okay.
We'll go back there. Mrs. O'Rear. Any discussion on the Buildings and Grounds items 1 through 4? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
All right, there are no athletics activities items this meeting. So,
Mrs. O'Rear, you had a question on.
Yeah, I know it's middle school, but with the Herf Jones with the yearbook, who we have doing our yearbook, it's on the second, it's on fund detail. It's saying about the 1,484. Is that our current yearbook cost, or was that like past debt that we owed?
The yearbook that we had a situation with last year was actually in the high school.
Right.
This is actually a payment, I would have to double check with Chris Leonard, with Mrs. Leonard, who handles the activity fund, but I believe that that is actually for the payment for this year.
Okay.
But I'll double check with her and let you know, and send out an email to everyone.
That does say 21-22 yearbook sales beside it. So if we could get clarification on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any citizens' comments?
But I'm not saying that.
I have one that was emailed in.
Okay.
I have to say that.
See that anywhere?
Yeah. This comment is from Ms. Molly Fee. And it states, I would like to make a citizen's comment to the board at the next school board meeting. However, my fear of public speaking prevents me from coming in person. I greatly appreciate you passing my comments on to the board. I would like to start by commending the teachers at Southmoreland for doing such a great job with my children. It was a pleasure to meet some of my 9th grade teachers for the first time, and I'm so pleased at the caliber of teachers we have in our district. I would also like to applaud Mrs. Scottam, Mrs. Sweeney, and Mrs. Cesario for the wonderful job they do in 5th grade. It has, however, come to my attention that the CAD lab at the high school is in desperate need of some attention. The computers are of poor quality, missing keys on keyboards, not enough mice to go around. The computers need upgraded. I realize that every department is in need of money. However, it is not fair to expect the students to take these type of classes without the proper equipment to learn on. At what point do we open this up to the community to maybe donate some keyboard, mice, monitors, maybe even a few new computers if we are unable to make these purchases with our district's budget? I felt it was my responsibility to bring this to your attention. If there's any chance we can afford a few new pieces of equipment for the CAD lab, I would like to see that happen. Thank you sincerely for your time and attention.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Jason, that policy anymore.